So, here we are again with Chapter 16, Cure is a four-letter word. And Pete is about to, I'm sure, thrill us all once again with his nonsensical understanding of science, the law, and how reality actually is. So, let's begin, shall we? One of the ways that MDs have tricked you into believing that they are the only ones that can be trusted regarding anything to do with medicine is by cornering the market on the word cure. No, MDs have not cornered the market on the word cure. They are trusted because they have hundreds, if not thousands of books and documents and websites, with repositories all on, medical data that has been studied thoroughly. That's why they are the respected authority they are, not like you, Pete, who, again, has written a book that is what? About 138 pages, and so far you have not presented one single piece of evidence to prove that your medicine actually works. All you have done throughout this entire book is complain about MDs. Most of it has been completely, flawless. You have no case against them. You're just literally a child that is complaining that he has no toys when, I don't know where I was going with that, but hey, that's the case you're in, Pete. And if you want to solve that, then you actually have to produce evidence, of which you have produced nothing. Zero. Zilch. So he continues. A naturopath could have tens of thousands of patients who have completely recovered from type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, congenital heart failure, asthma, kidney disease, and even though they have had the before and after blood work and x-rays to prove it, if they had cured anything, the FDA would come down on him like a ton of bricks. You actually have to do scientific studies into what you have done. You cannot just claim, like you have there, I've cured all this stuff, look at the before and after. That doesn't prove anything. It proves nothing. You have to have a continuous study of what is going on in that patient's body. You do not have that evidence, hence you cannot claim you have cured anything. The FDA does not care if a health claim is valid or not. Yes, they do care. They do go after drug companies, despite you wailing that they don't. They do go after drug companies, and they do pull their, medicine off the market. But, you just ignore that reality. They only care if they have approved it. And yes, they should, because they are the final authorities to say whether your drug is safe to market to people. That is what you want to do. You do not have any proof that your drugs are safe. But then again, to be honest, your drugs wouldn't do a harm to anybody unless, you overgave them, like we have discussed numerous times on this channel. This is not surprising considering the fact that the overwhelming majority of directors and deputy directors of the FDA Drug and Medical Research Departments are MDs. Well, surprise, surprise, Pete, because they've done the research, they've done the studies, and they are experts. Are you not surprised? Are you saying that you should be allowed on this board? For what reason? What evidence do you have that you are as smart as these guys? Pete, you don't. I'm sorry, but you don't. You do not deserve a seat at that table. It costs tens of millions of dollars to do all the research that the FDA requires in order to legally say that you can cure something. Yes, with good reason. Because then you could literally go and say, hey, look, I've got this snake oil, I've got this before and after picture. Why can't I sell that as a cure and claim that is a cure, Pete? You are opening, because that would open the door to charlatans, Pete. Like, I don't know, you and your other quack friends that claim this. Additionally, according to the FDA, only drugs, no it doesn't, can be said to cure medical conditions. Bet you didn't know that. Well, how about surgery? There are numerous things other than drugs that doctors use to help patients, but of course Pete doesn't acknowledge this because he knows nothing about MDs. Hence this fantasy book he's made up. That's right, according to the Food and Drug Administration, only drugs can cure things. If it is discovered that a plant in the Amazon can cure lung cancer and is marketed as such, it will be considered unapproved and an illegal drug. No, it wouldn't. The plant itself would not be able to cure cancer. There might be a chemical in that plant that can cure cancer, which is what the drug companies would use, such as the video we've already done, the EBC 47, I think it is. We have a fruit called brushwood fruit, which, if eaten, will actually kill you and is toxic. But surprise, surprise, there is a chemical in it that can help, that a drug company is researching that can cure that might be possibly be able to cure cancer. Does Pete care about this? No, of course he doesn't, because that would destroy his carefully crafted narrative. This is like making a law that says only tequila can make people intoxicated and then be thrown into jail all the winemakers unless they agree to have their product labelled as tequila. Before Big Pharma got its death camp, where the hell did that come from? Death camp hands on everything. Medicine was practiced with more common sense. Doctors would apply different treatments with different patients. You mean like they do now? Different patients and note down their results and then compare those notes with their colleagues at an annual medical conference. You mean... That's just unbelievable, right? Okay, Pete. Doctors go to school to learn this. Plus, that is a completely ineffective way of sharing knowledge. Just to let you know, Pete. They did that in this golden age you claim about. And it took ages for cures to get anywhere. But, now we don't. We have, medical schools that teach these things. And when something is proven to be medical worth, it is then taught in these medical schools. Oh, Pete, he's just an idiot, ladies and gentlemen. He really is. This is why it's called the practice of medicine. Just a few decades ago, it didn't matter if a particular treatment was given the okay by the FDA or not. Yes, I think it did matter whether the FDA did give its approval or not. That's what they were originally established for. The Food and Drug Administration, to make sure that these things were regulated and that they were safe. If a treatment made 95 out of 100 patients better and nobody was harmed, then all the doctors that knew about it started doing it. This was what was referred to as clinical judgment. Medical practice evolved quite nicely this way, and it happened in all types of medical practice. It didn't matter if you were a naturopath, chiropractor, osteopath or allopath. This is how everybody went about the practice of medicine, and everybody was relatively happy. No, it wasn't. At all. That was an awful way to share knowledge, because what if, for example, one country has this, incredible cure, and then how does this spread knowledge? See, this is Pete just ignoring the fact that we have these medical colleges and bemoaning the fact that, the FDA, they can't say I can cure things when I have no evidence to say, look at the holes, the hoops that a drug company has to go through to get their drug approved and on the market. They are not, they have to follow these rules, and so do you and your colleagues, Pete, if you want to get your drugs on the market. Then the FDA got into bed with Big Pharma, and the MDs rewrote the rules. In the present day, there is still room for clinical judgment if you have an MD that is evidenced by an MD's habit of frequently prescribing off-label use. Meds for off-label use. Naturopaths, chiropractors, homeopaths, etc. can do whatever they want to do clinically if it is in their scope of practice. If it is an alternative medical practitioner who is backed up by thousands of patient hours of clinical experience, here's the thing, everyone's different, right? We've already discussed this in previous videos, and we're having to say the same thing again and again in response to his arguments. People are different. People respond to drugs differently. However, doctors do that. Doctors do use their own medical judgment. He acts as if they just don't do it, but they do. And it's unbelievable. As I've said time and time again, Pete knows nothing about MDs. Even intimates that they can cure something, it's off to the big house for them. And rightly so, because they have no evidence at all. They'd actually have to prove it in a lab, using scientific results, double-blind tests, the whole shebang, everything that a big pharma company has to do to prove that their drugs are alright. The laws are there for a reason, Pete, and primarily they're here to stop people like you from bilking money from, poor people who might be in desperate need of help, real help, that you can't offer them. So this is why in my lectures you will always hear me say that my therapies support and promote the healthy function of the human body at a cellular level. Even though we have resolved arthritic knees and high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes and obesity thousands of times, we cannot use the word cure, because you don't actually have any evidence that what you have given has actually cured it. All of this could be avoided by simply coming up with the $50 million to do the research required by the FDA. And why don't you, Pete? If you and your fellow brethren can actually pony up the cash to do it, then why not? The silence, Pete, is deafening. Then we would have to publish our findings in the Allopathic Medical Journal. Then once the information we paid $50 million for was published and proven to evoke a cure whenever it was used to do this, is immediately classified as a drug, and only pharmaceutical companies are allowed to make it, they will then charge you $300 per pill, your government at work. Well, actually, Pete, there's still nothing stopping you from using that then. In fact, you would have essentially proven, for the first time ever, that your, medicine would work. But you don't. Instead, you sit there bemoaning this fact. And here's the thing, Pete. $50 million, if you get the patent on that medicine, which you can, you would make a heck of a lot of money. You would easily make that $15 million back. So, the question is, Pete, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you and your friends pony up and done the research? Why? Because there's an element they might be wrong. And that research might come back and say, there's no medical evidence to say that it worked. And that's what Pete's so terrified of. That's why he will never, ever publish any real medical findings. He will just say, oh, I've cured this, without any evidence. And as I've said time and time again, anecdotal evidence is not evidence. If you believe that peat can cure these things, then you almost certainly must believe in ghosts, paranormal activity, UFOs, the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and pretty much anything else that also has numerous anecdotal evidence to support that it exists or that it works. There you go, Pete. Me and many others will be waiting for you to one day, maybe, probably never, actually do that research. I look forward to seeing it in a peer-reviewed journal. And that'll never happen.